Hi everyone, it's Kristen. So with the Disney Plus coming out with Secret Invasion, I thought I would just do hopefully a brief video about the history of the Skrulls, since they're of course going to be the main character of Secret Invasion. Um, that storyline took place in comics April through December of 2008, and it was a really good storyline. And the tagline was "Who do you trust?" Um, because of course Skrulls are shapeshifters. They can impersonate anyone. So basically, Skrulls were once, like, believe it or not, a mercantile, peaceful, so to speak, civilization, and they like to go out and share their technology with those who they deemed worthy. So, like, right there is a little bit like, okay, a little insight into where they would go. And they developed long distance space travel, and they came across the Kree planet of Hala. Again, I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. You know me and pronunciations. You know, just go with it. If I'm wrong, please let me know. And I'm sorry, my hair just keeps growing because it's so hot and humid here. And I had to turn off the air conditioning so you guys could hear me. So as soon as I'm done with this video, I'm turning it back on because it's hot. That's why I may seem flustered or, flushed. Like I think I've said that in like every video I've done lately, but it's true. It's hot. It's hot. It's humid. No air conditioning makes it worse. So just, yeah, bear with me. So yeah, the Skrulls arrived at the Kree planet of Hala, and they were divided into two species: Kree, the like barbaric race, and then the Kotati. I think that's how you pronounce it. They're like a plant people. They were peaceful, and so the Skrulls said, "Okay, well, since there's two peoples for this race, we're gonna have a contest." And whoever does the best is who will be represented with, they will be their homeworld's representative, like with us. They'll who we will do business with. So the Kree were taken to the dark side of the moon and built this impressive civilization, and the Kotati were taken to like this barren planet and actually used their mental powers to call up ancient seeds and water and grew this like amazing, beautiful garden. And so, they won, or they were going to win, but the Kree couldn't have that, so they killed them all. Yeah. So remember that. That'll be important later. Um, and then the Kree actually also stole a ship of the Skrulls and basically copied their technology and improved on it even. And so, thinking themselves superior, they attacked the Skrulls, which, Skrulls and Kree are like mortal enemies. And so, this attack by the Kree is what turns the Skrulls into like the militaristic, you know, focused, soldier driven society that it is that we know of today. So, basically, the Skrulls first appeared in Fantastic Four 2. Of course, the most famous Skrull is Super Skrull, and who has all the powers of the Fantastic Four. And so it only makes sense that he would appear, that the Skrulls would appear in Fantastic Four first, because he's the most famous one. He has all their powers. Anyway, so basically, what happened, like from that point on, is that Skrulls were, very interested in learning more about Earth and wanting to infiltrate it. But the problem is they had to deal with all these like super human heroes, and um, they just didn't think they, had enough to compensate for all of those because Earth has a lot. But they, throughout the years, took different heroes and replaced them with Skrulls, not like unbeknownst to a lot of people. And what actually happened is Galactus destroyed their home planet. So he, I think it was like 7 billion lives just, gone because he was hungry and he needs to feed. So he destroyed the home planet. And what happened is that even though the home world was destroyed, there were all these little factions of Skrulls. And of course, none of them, every little faction had a Skrull that declared themselves emperor of the Skrulls. And so all these little factions were at war with each other, which the Shi'ar mostly had to deal with because they would still, come in and cause trouble and try to overtake different planets, different people. And at one point, there was like a genetic bomb that went off that stole their ability to shapeshift. And it's funny because like the Silver Surfer seems to help them out a lot. Like he helped them come up with a machine that would give them back their powers, but it can only be transferred. Like the Queen at the time, she was the only one that could give everyone back their powers. So it started with her, and then she gave everyone back their powers. And the thing is that the Skrulls and the Kree at some point came to a treaty because they discovered that a Skrull was living among them, and she was discovered because the Queen gave her back her powers. Like the Emperor at the time, when before Galactus attacks and devoured their homeworld, the Queen, who she saw this, she knew this was going to happen. Of course, the Emperor like exiled her, and well, she wasn't queen yet, but he exiled her because he's like, don't promote this religious, you know, fanaticism. I mean, that's not true. That's not going to happen. And so when he died, she became queen. So through her power, her giving everyone back their power, this Skrull was discovered in the Kree's mist. So they reached a treaty, but of course it didn't last long because the Skrulls were the first to break the treaty and attack the Kree. So the Skrulls have, like I said, long been trying to infiltrate Earth. So they actually replaced Alicia Masters, Ben Grimm's girlfriend, with a Skrull. But of course, nobody knew that, and you can see a little bit more about that in my video on Fantastic Four 278. But basically, very short version of that is that she becomes involved with Johnny instead of Ben, and they get married. Even though Johnny doesn't know she's a Skrull, and then it's discovered that Alicia is being held, somewhere prisoner. And so it's supposedly, the Skrull that Johnny married was conflicted because she actually developed real feelings for Johnny. And so she battled with them, but she died in the battle, and then they resurrected her. She came back, but she still couldn't, she couldn't fight Johnny because she, still had these such strong feelings for him. Another interesting thing is that the Skrulls were actually present at the trial of Phoenix. And sorry if the video seems choppy, but yeah, my kitty. I can hear her outside the door, kind of pawing at the door. So I keep pausing it to check on her. I mean, I can't let her in here because there's too many wires and stuff. And then like she likes to play with wires and cords, so she'll just I'm afraid she'll just pull on something and it'll just all break and come tumbling down. Because as I've said before, this desk, you can see it, is not very sturdy. I need to actually get a different desk, a new desk, so that it's not so, like I said, that's so unsteady. Anyway, so that's why if this video seems choppy. That's what it is. She doesn't like it when I close the door on her to any room. Anyway, so the Skrulls, yeah, were present at the trial of Jean Grey, the Phoenix, and they actually also, even though Captain Marvel, the original Kree warrior, was their greatest enemy, they honored him when he died. And they actually also worked with Apocalypse during the 12 storyline, when he tried to use the 12 mutants to create, supercharge his power so he could ascend to godhood. He actually worked with them in order to achieve that. And there was a Skrull mutant, Fitz, I think his name was, and he actually warned the X-Men about this and said that there wasn't, a whole like community of super Skrulls, like the Skrulls that had extra powers, so essentially mutant Skrulls. Um, and after Apocalypse was defeated, Xavier actually went into space and he trained them. And I heard before this, like there were what they were called war Skrulls. They actually infiltrated the Shi'ar Empire and killed people in the Shi'ar, in the name of the Shi'ar, because of course the Shi'ar is kind of, in their way sometimes, and they don't appreciate that. So they actually impersonated Professor Xavier and used him to sway Lilandra, and then it was realized, it was discovered that they're actually just like robots, and the Skrulls promised to get rid of any other war Skrulls that were out there. And then during the Annihilation storyline, the Skrull Skrulls were the first to be attacked, and he devoured a couple like little home worlds of his of theirs. And but basically, of course, the most important storyline is the Secret Invasion storyline, which is what the new Disney Plus series is about. And the Queen that we were talking about earlier, she actually, because the Illuminati, composed of Black Bolt, Professor Xavier, Reed Richards, um, Namor, Doctor Strange. Feel like I'm missing somebody. Let me know in the comments who I'm missing, because all of a sudden I'm drawing a blank. Professor Xavier, did I say him? I don't know. Anyway, in Iron Man, they told him, is Iron Man in it? Crap, now I'm drawing a blank. Anyway, let me know in the comments who I missed, because right now, I'm drawing a blank. So they told the Skrulls, hey, you need to leave us alone, back off. And the Queen actually captured them and studied them before they escaped. And the whole Secret Invasion storyline started in April of 2008 and went to December of 2008. And it was a huge, huge storyline. I mean, it was, like I said, the tagline was, "Who can you trust?" And what the Queen did was she actually went to Earth and became Spider-Woman. And during a prison outbreak at the Raft, she had to actually work with the Avengers, to survive and also not to be discovered. And, nobody even knew anything was going on until the Avengers battled Elektra, who was actually a Skrull, and she died. So here you have supposedly Elektra, but you see a Skrull instead. So the Queen, posing as Spider-Woman still, took the corpse to Iron Man and Tony and said, "Hey, what's going on? What do we do?" To further sow distrust between the superhero community, which is, this was after the Civil War, so there was already distrust and division because, you had the pro-registration team, Avengers team led by Tony, and then you had the other Avengers team, so it was already just, a mess, and they already were distrustful of each other and just divided. So she kind of played on that further. And they all, in Skrulls posing as shield agents, tried to mine vibranium from the Savage Land, but were attacked by the Avengers and killed. And of course, like one of the main things they did was destabilize the Shield helicarrier. They um, they teleported the Baxter building into the Phantom Zone, and basically it all ended on this one huge battle in New York, and the Queen was eventually killed. But I mean, the damage had been done because the president himself disbanded Shield and replaced Shield. Norman Osborn is that one who actually killed the Queen, with technology apparently stolen from Deadpool. And he was appointed by the president as the director of the new supposedly Shield called Hammer, and Norman Osborn formed his own secret um, version of the Avengers that included Namor. So he's I don't know why he said that he was a member of the Illuminati, because anyway, Namor, Emma Frost, the Hood, because he actually helped out during the Skrull invasion of New York, because he's like, well, I have to protect my territory, and if there is no New York, then I have nothing. Let's see, and who else? Oh, and Loki. So that was like his little Dark Avengers group. So after that, then was after Secret Invasion, of course, they were divided and scattered again. And at that point, during like the Infinity storyline, the Builders, targeted them. Um, that's a complicated storyline too. I won't get into that just because this video that I thought was going to be a short video is already 17 minutes long. Goodness gracious. So, so basically, the Skrulls are still active after Secret Invasion, but the Secret Invasion, of course, is the biggest storyline that they're involved in. And then we have I told you earlier about the Kotati. Remember the plant-like creatures that were peaceful? They were all killed. Well, thanks to their new leader, they decided to rise up and destroy. And they thought all the problems of the world were because of animals, mammals, basically non-plants. So they rose up and tried to destroy like everybody, basically. And yeah, and it weirdly enough, the Kree and Skrulls formed an alliance against them under Emperor Hulkling, who his dad was Captain Marvel and his mom, was a Kree or was a Skrull princess. So yeah, so they came together at last, kind of, because they had this Hulkling to lead them. So I mean, the Skrulls have been around for a very long time, and they have a complicated history, especially when it comes to the Kree, because they're kind of always like at each other and stuff. So I'm excited to see and hopeful about this show. Um, I hope it's good. I plan for it to be good. I don't plan for it to not be good, but we'll see. So I just wanted to give you a brief history. Like I said, this video is like 19 minutes. I seriously thought it would be briefer than that. So I apologize for it running long. Um, so let me know what you think about Secret Invasion. Does it like live up to your expectations? Yeah, let me know in the comments. And I hope you join me for the next video about that also has to do with Secret Invasion, but it takes place in the pages of the X-Men. So I hope if this storyline is something you're interested in, I hope you will join me for that video as well. Until next time, bye.